Hey there, gang. So today we are going into our second lesson on energy. And today we're going to learn exactly where energy comes from. What are the different types of form of energy we've already gone over. But today we're going to learn about different types of organisms and how they get that type of energy. So this is just a quick review over what we went over yesterday and learned. So first and foremost, you should all know by now that energy is the ability to do work. Let's make that way smaller. Okay, energy is the ability to do work. And this molecule here should look very, very familiar. And we should all know that this part of the molecule that is gray and green has no energy. We can call this the base or the trunk of the molecule. And this is the adenosine part of what we're looking at, which is ATP. Okay, and that the energy in this molecule is really stored between the phosphate groups in bonds. And if you remember, it's right here and right here where all the energy is. Okay? So no energy over here on the left, all our energy is over here on the right. And this is ATP. Okay, so the other thing that we learned is that there's a difference from this molecule based on how many phosphate groups it has. Okay, and if you recall, if it just has one phosphate group, we call it AMP. Okay, if it has two phosphate groups, we call it ADP. That's for diphosphate. And if it has three phosphate groups, we call it ATP because it has three phosphates. It's a triphosphate. And that's pretty much the down and dirty from what we did yesterday. And today I want to go a little further into how we get ATP in our body. Because I don't want you to think that it's this magic process where we go from food right to ATP. There's actually several intermediates that I briefly want to talk about. So, first and foremost, to get ATP, step one is that as humans, right, we need to eat food. So as you can see, this man here is consuming a bunch of awesome food. And what's going to happen is that he's going to digest that food, okay? And once he digests that, our body is going to store it initially as either a carbohydrate or a fat. Okay? Right here, this is a carbohydrate. It's a sugar called glucose. Right here is a fatty acid. Oops. And what I want you guys to know is that both of these are for long-term energy storage. Lots of the energy that our body obtains from its environment, from what we eat or from what we drink, it doesn't need to use immediately. And so what it initially does is that it stores it as glucose or a different carbohydrate, or it may even store it as a fatty acid so that we can have it in our body for when we need it. Okay? Because when we need it, step three, the body transfers long-term energy into quick energy. And I call it quick energy because as soon as ATP is made, it's going to be immediately used by the body. ATP does not last long. It is short-term energy. It's used immediately. Okay, and that's very important to understand. So again, the three processes are someone eats food, the energy from this food is stored long term as either a carbohydrate or a fatty acid, and when the body needs to use energy, it quickly transfers this long term energy into short term energy, which is called ATP. All right, and this is the really short version of what goes on, but I hope this gives you a better idea that it goes food to long-term energy to ATP. Okay, but what exactly is food? And this is the whole point of this lecture that I really want to get to. And it all hinges on this idea that there's two different types of organisms. Okay, out of every organism in the world, each organism is either what we call an autotroph or it's what we call a heterotroph. And these are words you're going to have to know, okay? Autotrophs are able to produce their own food. They obtain their energy because they contain a pigment. Pigment is a really fancy word for color. Okay, especially color of skin as in humans, or you might be leaf color in plants. That captures energy from sunlight. Okay, and different examples of this include different types of algae, plants, and we can even see something like a lily pad, okay, that is actually able to obtain energy from the sun and use it as food. One more is actually some bacteria. That's right. Some bacteria actually get their energy from the sun. And if we don't actually get to this year, I hope at some point in your science career, you guys get to learn what cyanobacteria is. It's wicked cool. So that's autotrophs. Again, auto meaning automatic. They make their own food. They automatically make their own food. Okay, I'm going to write that down. They automatically make their own food. Okay, autotrophs, things like plants, most things that are green, right? That's the pigment that we usually see, although it can be different. And again, they need sunlight. They need sunlight. Heterotrophs are very different. They're not able to produce their own food. Hint, hint, we are heterotrophs. Okay? We obtain energy by consuming animals. Right? You think you eat bacon for breakfast, pigs, cattle, and or plants such as broccoli or potatoes that already contain energy. All right? Some examples include bears that eat meat, sheep, and even something like vultures. And I say even something like them because vultures actually eat dead animals. They're known as detrivores. Okay? But they're still a heterotroph because they're eating something that gets energy and they're not able to produce it on their own. Okay? And that's the big difference. Autotrophs automatically make their own food. Heterotrophs have to obtain energy from a different food source that already has energy, a different animal or a different plant. So what I have right here are two different photos, and I just want to identify some different things that we're looking at. All right, this cheetah right here, this is a heterotroph. I'm just going to put het, okay? Now, this gazelle that it's eating is actually also a heterotroph. The only autotroph that we actually see in this picture is all this grass in the back. Okay? Now, over here on the right, we have a little different picture, okay? We have the giraffe here. The giraffe is definitely a heterotroph, okay? But you'll notice that we have a lot more greenery. And usually when you see green, it signifies autotroph, okay? Again, anything that's plant-like is going to obtain its energy from the sun. Plants can't eat other animals or other plants, right? At least generally speaking. So we have this tree here. We can say that this is an autotroph. We've got some shrubs down here. We can say that this is an autotroph. And we even have grass. Don't forget that grass obtains its energy from the sun. And it's also an autotroph. Okay, so I want you guys to get used to being able to see pictures like this and being able to describe the different animals and plants you see as heterotrophs and autotrophs, because this is going to be two terms that we for sure are going to be using for the rest of the year. So define this vocab and then move on to the group work that's online. I hope you guys enjoyed.